Name's Randolph. I'm the manager.
We're looking for Rose. Works as a waitress down at the diner?
Rose, sure. Nice girl. Who wants to know?
I'm Alan Wake.
The writer, huh? I heard on the radio you were visiting. Well, I'll show you her trailer. That Rose, she's a nice girl. Always pays her rent on time.
The trailer park where Rose lives is a cozy place that recently had a bit of a shock when a sailing boat picked up by a tornado crashed in the middle of two trailers. This is a location that for a long time looked like it was not going to make it in the final game, but I'm glad it did, because I think it's one of those places that helps define the character and style of the game in a visual way. When we went out photoshooting along the Pacific Northwest area, we came across many trailer parks, and we have plenty of material for them. So I think that really shows in the authenticity of this location.
Couldn't find a single thing he wrote. Zane was heavily into diving, so much so that the place came to be called Diver's Isle. But the volcano under the lake erupted in 1970, and Zane went down with the island.
Yeah, how about that? It was there in the morning, as if it had fallen from the sky. But it would take a tornado to lift something like that. We're damn lucky it didn't crush any of the trailers.
It gets better. A local girl, Barbara Jagger, drowned in Cauldron Lake just a week earlier. They were lovers.
Sure, Jagger's a local spook story. The Scratching Hag comes for you in the dark. Childish stuff like that.
Anyway, Al, I'm just getting to the best part. All of the articles about this stuff were written by Cynthia Weaver. I asked around, and she's that crazy bag lady you met.
What, the lamp lady? She can be a little loopy, but she's not homeless or anything.
Yeah, anyway, she knew both Jagger and Zane before they both died, and she had some kind of a breakdown.
Well, mister, this here's Rose's trailer. You mind me asking what you want with her?
Welcome to... Oh dear, Mr. Wake. I'm so glad you're here.
Rose, you have my manuscript?
Oh. Oh yes. Yes. Please, come in.
I felt nauseous, hungover. Only anger kept me going.
I can't tell reality from dream anymore, but it seems I have an imaginary editor to help me. She's an old woman.
Rose took a day from me. I had less than 12 hours left to meet the kidnapper. All I could do was get Barry into the car, work something out once I got on the road.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner. What can I get you today? Coffee?
I couldn't work up much hate for Rose. Something had used her to get to me and left its mark.
First refill is free. Milk and sugar on the
My gun and flashlight. I'd have to find a way to get...
The Dark Presence is the main adversary in our game, and I wouldn't necessarily call it evil, but it is completely alien to our world, and that may pretty much be the same thing. We don't really want to explain the dark presence in too much detail. We kind of want it to remain a mystery, but let me say this much. It's definitely not human. It doesn't think the way we do. A good example of this would be when Wake actually escapes from the cabin. And he actually just sits there and writes the whole thing into the story, and the dark presence is right there, and it
I hated to leave Barry behind, but there was no way I'd miss my appointment with the kidnapper.
Give it up, Mr. Wake. Come on. Make it easy.
Get after it. Don't let him get away. Move it, move it, move it. I'll have your chance if you let him get away. Stop running! We have the suspect in sight! Okay, men. Keep your eyes peeled. He's gonna try to make it through here.
Oh, damn.
Keep looking. Man out! Move it! Away! Keep an eye out! God damn it! Where did he go? He's gone! Come on, guys! We need to head him off! Search the area! Stay sharp! This way! Over here!
This horror was everywhere I went, circling me. The cops didn't stand a chance. They were after a writer, not a monster. I imagined that the broadcast tower in the distance was part of the local radio station. Maine seemed like a decent guy. Perhaps he could give me directions to the coal mine. Unnatural shadows clung to the gate. The darkness that was after me was trying to stop me. I wouldn't get through without a light. It took me a moment to recognize the flashbang grenades.
Here we see one of the most useful tools that the gameplay designers have. We call it beds, for bringing enemies to the scene. It started off as a simple spawning system, but as time went on, it evolved into something bigger. It actually now incorporates build-up as well. You hear the whispers and sounds that the darkness creates, and, well, the darkness itself actually appearing in the forest. It hides the enemies when they actually get close to you. On top of that, we have a reveal system which shows the first enemy attacking you, but we do it only once per combat. After that, you're on your own.
And here's another call. You're on KBFFM with Pat Maine.
It's Milt Peabody, Pat.
What's on your mind, Milt?
Well, I live near the trailer park, Pat, and there's a big ruckus.
hope Maine could lend me a car to get to the coal mine.
We don't see a lot of Pat Maine in the game, but actually he has a considerable presence. One of the problems with Alan Wake was that we really wanted to maintain that small town atmosphere, but that's very hard to do when, you don't actually spend a lot of time in the small town itself. A familiar and dependable radio solved that problem. Also, I think RJ Allison, who plays Pat Maine, did a wonderful job. He really nails the character, and it's so great to be alone in the dark and then hear that warm and dependable voice.
My granddaddy settled in Bright-Folls in 1911.
Well, thank you very much for that compassionate viewpoint, Lorna. Oh, here's a little surprise. The famous writer Alan Wake just walked in. Folks, I'm going to see if I can talk him into an interview.
Come on in, Mr. Wake. Oh, I'm so glad you could find the time to do this, Mr. Wake.
Nowhere to run now, Dan Brown. You back away from me. Don't hurt.
I'll get you yet, even if it kills me. You hear me? You hear me?
Here we have another really well set up journey. The train depot and the bridge in the distance well visible from early on. As an interesting side note, this whole area was originally just a minor branch. Not even a branch. Alan Wake just basically had to get a car from the forest and continue towards the mining museum. With months of iteration and looking at the possibilities given by the environment, we found out that this area could have lots of poltergeist events, could have hidden routes and so forth. The bridge and the train depot all appearing far later in their development.
There was no sensible reason for the power company work lights to be here. It was almost as if they'd been left for someone like me to use. There was no sensible reason for the power company work lights to be here. It was almost as if they'd been left for someone like me to use.
Hello?
The most stubborn man I've ever met.
Alice? Alice?
Alan. Alan. I'm so afraid. Keeps me in the dark. Please help me. I look at you, Alan, and it's not you. Something else. Looking out from behind your eyes.
Alice, I'm here.
I'm so alone here. It's all gonna go to hell. You need to be careful. Cooperate.
The connection had been terrible, but that wasn't the only thing that hadn't been right with the call. She sounded wrong somehow, but she had called me. I could see a railway bridge up ahead.
Everybody knows the movie Poltergeist, but I wouldn't say that it was the origin for this idea. This game is about possession. It's about the dark presence taking over everything in the world. It started off with humans, and, well, in the design, the inanimate objects were the next logical step. One of the hardest things to do was to convey intent. The objects don't have any body language, unlike the Taken. How we ended up with the current feature was that the lead writer actually encountered a problematic physical object. It flickered around the terrain erratically, and you really couldn't tell what is going to happen next. And that ended up being a real feature. And here you can see the result.
As a teenager, just starting to get interested in writing, Stephen King had been a source of inspiration to me. I thought about all the inanimate objects that had come to life in his books. No one is safe in a good horror story, certainly not the protagonist. That's what makes them fun. This was anything but. The darkness could possess anything, and it was getting closer.
Did you call 911?
Come to life in his books. No one is safe in a good horror story, certainly not the protagonist. That's what makes them fun. This was anything but. The darkness could possess anything, and it was getting closer.